Hey there, I'm Alex Kidman. This is the Roborock S8 MaxV Ultra Robot Vacuum Cleaner. Let's get into the review. A lot of robot vacuum cleaners, especially in the premium price tier where the Roborock S8 MaxV Ultra very definitely sits, try to stand out visually in some way. In the case of the Roborock S8 MaxV Ultra, it's by looking like a small office printer to my eyes. It's an odd choice, but it's a very utilitarian one. It's one that focuses more on functionality than necessarily looking like household decor. What do I mean by that? Well, to give you an example, the very top of it just houses these very simple water containers. Now, lots of robot vacuum cleaners have these, but these have really simple to use handles. They're easy to get in, they're easy to get out. 4 litres on the clean tank and 3.5 litres on the dirty tank, because logically you're going to leave a little bit of moisture on your floors. Makes them big enough to last a reasonable length of time. I can typically get nearly towards a week on them without them becoming too heavy to lift or kind of painful or awkward to lift. It still kind of smells bad when you're clearing out the dirty water tank, or at least it does in my house. Your own home may differ. That same easy access is true of the S8 MaxV Ultra's dust bag, which hides behind a front compartment with an easy fold-down action. There's also a separate compartment for cleaning solutions if you use them. All I've done for the purposes of this review is mopped with fresh water, however. The actual robot mop part of the Roborock S8 MaxV Ultra is your classic rounded design with just a few notable tweaks, including an extendable brush arm and a relatively prominent LiDAR bump at the top. I do tend to prefer a black robot vacuum cleaner, by the way, simply because the nature of their work means that white models almost paradoxically tend to show more dust. They tend to look a little bit more grubby pretty quickly. And let's face it, robot vacuum cleaners are still all about being somewhat lazy with your cleaning. And who wants to spend time cleaning a robot? The physical installation of the Roborock S8 MaxV Ultra is actually quite easy, with only really the base plate to snap into position on the dock and a power cable to connect. You then pass over to the Roborock app for iOS and Android to actually install the unit via scanning its onboard QR code. Here I did hit an issue with both models of the Roborock S8 MaxV Ultra. Unfortunately, the first one they had developed a LiDAR fault, but Roborock was nice and quick to replace it. And the problem I hit was specifically with iOS devices. And the core idea here, and this is common to most robot vacuums, is that it sets up an ad hoc Wi-Fi network that you connect your phone to in order to transfer over your home's Wi-Fi network details. All good and fine. And while an iPhone 15 Pro I was using for testing could see the network and connect to it, for whatever reason, the Roborock app rather consistently failed to then finish the handshaking and pass the details over. It's also notable that the S8 MaxV Ultra only supports 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi, not 5 GHz, if that's what you've got flowing through your home. I don't think that was actually the issue. Now, I got around that by switching to the Android version of the Roborock app, using a Google Pixel 8 Pro, but not everyone will have that option. The nice thing here is because it all ties into an account, I could set it up on the Pixel 8 Pro and still see it on the iPhone because it's the one robot on my one account once it's actually set up and configured. The other part of installation, of course, is just letting it trundle around and find out all about its floor and mapping arrangements. And this it did really nicely and quickly and intelligently, spotting a lot of furniture and identifying what it was as it went. In terms of general cleaning performance, I'll split this between the vacuuming and the mopping. And the vacuuming is generally really, really good, very intelligently handled, reasonably quick, quite high suction, so it's pretty good at collecting up most things and working across multiple floor types and even some slight risers, not particularly problematic for it. Roborock's claim is that it can also detect pet bowls to minimise spillage of food and water, and that was mostly handled well, although not always for my cat's food bowls. Although, it's not like my cats leave even the slightest skerrick of food uneaten though, so that wasn't really an issue even when it did bump into the bowls. The Roborock app covers the basics of cleaning rooms, of course, entire floors or areas intelligently, and it gets the basics of why anyone would buy a robot vacuum cleaner dead right. It's all about really making a chore into a simple process, best run every day as a maintenance level clean. The little robot arm on the side of this, which is meant to be one of the key selling points, getting close into things, did also work well along the edges of my furniture, mostly. It doesn't quite get absolutely everything, but you'd need almost a fluid-shaped robot vacuum cleaner, I guess, to actually get around all the different shapes you're going to have in every single home. Of the robot vacuum cleaners I've tested, and I've tested a whole heap and lot of them, this is one of the very best I've tested for vacuuming. I also like the fact that it fires up its own individual light if there isn't enough light around it, as you can see under this piece of furniture, for example. I don't think it's ever been quite that clean under there before. In terms of tangling around things, a common problem for robot vacuum cleaners, it was fairly smart when it came to avoiding cables, slightly less intelligent around wool. Wool continues to be one of those things that robot vacuum cleaners just seem to love eating, and, well, I have a partner who likes a craft, so there's pretty much always some wool around, and yeah, the V8 Ultra did try and eat a little bit of it. Unravelling wool off these things is not a great deal of fun. It's always a better idea to have the floor fairly clear before you start. On the mopping side, Roborock has opted for a single mopping pad with a high vibration rate to clean up spills and polish floors. Roborock's contention is that this is better than rotating mop heads, and I'm not 100% convinced that that's true, although the reality here is that both are still doing basic maintenance mopping, not absolute detritus style cleaning. A sample test here with slightly too much flour dropped on my kitchen floor. Slightly too much because I like to stress test things. Did leave a little bit to be desired, with some material left over, although realistically, unless your home was super filthy to begin with, it probably wouldn't have that much grime on the floor most of the time, or at least you'd hope not. The name of the game here is very clearly maintenance mopping, however. Overall, however, the Roborock S8 MaxV Ultra performs well, managing the trickier parts of my floors without getting stuck too often. On deeper carpet areas, it did slow down, every robot vacuum cleaner does, but the higher than typical 20mm lift meant that even if I was also mopping other floor areas, there was little in the way of dampness getting into my carpets. Roborock also provides a remote access function for its cameras, so you can use it to track the robot as it cleans, make remote calls, or even theoretically track and find your pets. I say theoretically because in the time I've been testing it, while it does trundle around the floor checking nooks and crannies for my pets, it doesn't seem to be that good at actually finding them. Either that or my cats are invisible to it, I guess. One nice feature here about video, though, is that remote viewing has to be activated at first via physical access to the robot itself, and it's protected with a pattern gesture to at least provide a simple level of security. Of course, if you don't want those features, you can just leave the camera access entirely inactive. I can't honestly see the point of using a robot vacuum cleaner, by the way, as a calling system when you have the camera at foot height, unless you've got some very Tarantino-esque fetishes, I guess. The Roborock S8 MaxV Ultra supports multiple voice assistants, including Amazon Alexa, Apple Siri, and Google Home. It's also Matter certified, which gives it plenty of scope for incorporating a wider array of smart home appliance setups if you've got other Matter-compliant gear. And if you've got none of that, Roborock also includes its own voice assistant, Rocky. Now, Rocky is, well, it's an interesting try, I'll put it that way. It really only understands some very specific instructions, but it's clear that once you enable it, it's listening all the time for its wake word, which, not surprisingly, is Rocky, to kick into gear. The one problem here is that its comprehension of Rocky is a little, well, rocky? I've had Rocky complain it couldn't understand an instruction given because it picked up the word Rocky from my coffee machine grinding beans. I swear, I'm not making this up. I wish I'd been filming it. And that was just downright weird. It just suddenly said, oh, I didn't understand that instruction. It's like, we didn't give you an instruction. That was the coffee machine going off. I mean, Rocky is, I guess, okay if you wanted voice control and you didn't have any other voice assistants in play, but it's early days for Roborock's version of its own voice assistant, and there's definitely little work needed here, I feel. So should you buy the Roborock S8 MaxV Ultra? Look, at $2,999, it's absolutely premium priced, right? Top tier stuff. And I've got to say, it lives up to most of it. It's a really good robot vacuum cleaner. It's actually done a very good job with cleaning relative to a bunch of other robot vacuum cleaners that I've tested of late. But then again, for that $2,999 price point, it absolutely should be. And that, I think, above all, is going to be what determines whether or not it's the right robot vacuum cleaner for you. Because these are still convenience plays. There are still some things they can't do. And $3,000 is a lot to drop on a robot vacuum cleaner. Anyway, that's my take on the Roborock S8 MaxV Ultra. Got any questions? Hit me up in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe.